Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel after a long time. So I was away from creating videos due to personal reasons, but I'm glad that I'm back again. So let's continue with our series of machine coding interview problems. So I have come up with this problem of modal window. So let's understand what exactly the problem is and how we can implement this. So a modal window is basically a web page element that gets displayed in front of the main web page content, and while displaying it, the other parts of the web page content gets disabled. So the purpose of this modal window is to direct the user's attention to a much more prominent and important part of our web page content. It's like a pop-up, but focusing on the important detail of the web page. So in order to get back to the main content, or in order to return to the main content from this modal window, user must perform an action or engage with the modal window, like closing the tab or something like that. So let's understand how we can implement this functionality. Okay, so let us consider that this is the web page we have. Okay, so basically the crux of the implementation for this functionality lies in the CSS position property. So basically, if this is the main web page content we have, then we require a modal window like this to pop up in the middle of our web page with some details. Okay, but the key here is to make the background blurry so that other parts of the web page element gets disabled. So how can we achieve this? Okay, so basically we can assume that there is like the browser rendering process as a stack, and this main content or the main container for the web page is being at the lowest level of the stack. Okay, let's say, yeah, let's say it's the main container. Okay, and we have another container. So yeah, we have another container, let's say modal. So by pushing this modal container in the browser rendering stack, we are going to overlap the main container with this modal, and we are going to give it a blurry background so that the other parts of this main container gets disabled. And let's say this is the modal container or a modal wrapper. So this will overlap the main container, and then we will place the modal content inside that modal container. So this is how we are going to achieve this. This is the like core logic for the implementation of this functionality. So in order to do this, we are required to make the CSS position property of this modal container as fixed. So it will place itself with respect to the HTML viewport, and we will make the width and height of this modal container as 100%. So it will overlap the whole main container, and then we will place the content of the modal in the middle or some anywhere we want to. So let's get back to the implementation. Okay, so I have created a sample modal, like a sample web page content with some dummy lorem ipsum text. So let me uncomment it. So you can see this is a sample web page content. So beneath this we can create a button. Okay, so this button will be used to open the modal. Okay. So for that, let's create a component. All right. Modal window .js. Okay. So let's create a modal window component. It will be a functional component which will return some JSX. Okay. Let's test this. So let's say modal container. All right. Let me export it. Let's call it here. We can just okay. I think I have already pasted the CSS. I will explain you later. Now you can see that this modal container is getting called and it is being rendered here. Okay. So now let's render it in a conditional manner. So whenever we click on this open modal, then only it is supposed to get rendered. Okay. So for that, let's create a use state hook or state variable is open set is open. Okay. It will come from the use state. And in the beginning, let's keep it as true only, or let's make it false. Okay, and let's render this component conditionally. All right. So it will be edge open and then so you can see that we have set the initial value as false. So it is not rendering the modal components. Let's see if we make it true, what happens then. You can see it has rendered. So let's make it false only for the time being. We will add a event handler on this button, which will open the modal for us. So let me write the component for this. So basically this is the modal wrapper that will overlap the main container. Okay, and inside this there will be another div which will be the modal. Okay, and it will have the content inside it. So let's just create a p tag. Okay, and let's give it this much of content perhaps. Okay, now also let's create a button which will close the modal. Close, let's call it close modal. Okay, now let me see how is it looking. Let's make it true. Okay, this is how it looks. So make it false for the timing. Okay, now we are required to add some CSS properties which will activate the modal. So let's go to the index.js, style.css, where we will style modal wrapper and modal. So inside this we can make the position as fixed. Okay, so it will make sure that the modal container will be with respect to this HTML viewport, it will position itself with like that. So let's also give left as 0 to ensure that. and top also 0. Okay. Now coming to the background color, let's give it the RGB value of 0, 0, one more 0. This is correspond to black color, but let's also give it some transparency of 0.8 perhaps. Okay. Now let's check how it looks. You can see. Okay. It is also required to give 100% height and width. Height 100%. Okay. And width also 100%. Okay. Now we can give display as flex, justify content center, and align items center. Okay. We can also give, we can now let's style this dot modal content. So let's keep the background color as white. Yeah, you can see this. Let's give margin of 2 rem, maybe 3. Adding of 1 rem. Okay. Border radius 8 pixel. Okay. This looks good for the time being. Okay. Now let's add the event handler to close and open the modal. So let me make it false. Now let's create a function here. Let's add a click handler. So on click, and it will have a callback function which set the open property to true on clicking it. And let's also send an on close function. Okay. So this on close, let's define it here. Let's make it false. Okay. Now let's receive the prop, and on click of this will refer to this function of on close. Okay. So let's check our modal functionality. So you can see on close up, on open of this, the modal pops up, and when we are required to close it, it is getting back to the main web page content. So this is what about modal window. So this was it. In the next video, we can make some modification by adding a functionality of clicking outside this container and closing this modal through use ref hook. So we will see that in our next video. So yeah, this was it. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, then please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel.